Nerds, it is Comic Book Week, and on this episode, we are going to talk about Mirage Comics Volume 1 of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. In particular, we're going to get into issue number 1 and issues 24 through 26 of that run. So, stay tuned for that and so much more right after this. I'm Richard.
And I'm Will.
And together we're
The
Irreverent
Nerds. Bum, bum, bum.
Nerds, I have an announcement for current and future subscribers. We have lowered our price. Now for only 99 cents per month, you'll get access to one brand new bonus episode released on the first Friday of each month, our full back catalog of bonus episodes, video versions of select regular episodes, and more. So don't wait another minute. Click on the link in the episode description and sign up today. Now on to this week's episode.
Nerds.
We're here. I'm speaking in a Scottish accent again, because I love it. And I'm 35% Scottish. And 8% Norwegian. Woohoo! Anyway, we're here with my daughter, as we often are, doing an audio only this week. No video for subscribers. We're sorry, subscribers. But, you're just going to get to hear our dulcet tones, no beautiful faces. You probably don't feel that left out, but, you know, just in case you do, we're sorry. It's audio only. We're using Audacity, actually, which works quite well. For a free program, it works great. But yeah, well, we're going to jump right into it. Will, my friend, what are we here to talk about?
We're here to continue Turtles Month. And today on Turtles Month, we are talking about the original Peter, Laird, and Kevin Eastman comic series by Mirage Studios.
Laird or Laird?
Laird. I don't know.
Sorry, Peter, if you're listening.
Yeah, I got that one wrong.
Slap your tongue.
I've probably been getting it wrong for a long time now. Richard's the first one to call me out on it. But, Yeah, we're here to talk about the original comic run. Not all of it. We have selected just a few issues to talk about today. Obviously, the first issue, and then some favorites of mine, issues 24, 25, and 26. The River series by Rick Veitch. Do you think it's pronounced Veitch?
Veitch. It's either Veitch or Veitch.
Okay.
I think either one probably works because I'm not sure.
But we're going to start out by jumping into the wiki here. So, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is an American comic book series that was published by Mirage Studios between 1984 and 2014. Conceived by Kevin Eastman and Peter
Laird. Just think of like the evil Laird. Like
Laird.
Peter Laird.
It was initially intended as a one-shot.
Not saying Peter's evil, but...
evil man. I'm
Sorry,
kidding.
Peter, again.
But due to its popularity, it became an ongoing series. The comic created the Turtles franchise of 5 television shows, 7 feature films, numerous video games, and a range of toys and merchandise. So I wonder if this Wikipedia is updated with the new film. Would that be 8 feature films, or...
Not sure.
Yeah. Notable for its black and white format and darker tone, compared to the rest of the adaptations that followed.
Actually, it's supposed to be adaptations. That's a typo. Wiki.
Okay, well...
It should be adaptations. You said it right.
My brain corrected
Your brain corrected it.
The series follows the exploits of 4 genetically mutated Ninja Turtles who are trained under the orders of Master Splinter, a pet rat, to combat various foes, most notably involving the likes of the Foot Clan and their leader Oroku Saki. Another typo, the wiki says Oroku Saki.
Oh yeah, it should be Oroku.
Who secretly takes on the identity of the Shredder.
And by the way, Master Splinter is not the Turtles' pet. he was a pet, but not of the Turtles.
Yes.
Just to make that clear. Anyway, continue, my friend.
Over the years, the Turtles have appeared in numerous crossovers with other independent comic characters such as Dave Sim's Cerebus, Bob Burden's Flaming Carrot, Stan Sakai's Usagi Yojimbo, Image Universe series including Eric Larson's Savage Dragon and Todd McFarlane's Spawn.
Ooh.
And I have some of those crossovers.
I didn't know they had done a Spawn crossover.
I don't own that one. Yeah, I don't think I've read it. But I'd love to get my hands on that.
If we can get our hands on it, we should do an episode on it.
Yeah. You a Spawn fan?
No. Well, I'm familiar with it. It's just
okay.
It's recognizable. Which obviously Usagi. I recognize some of the other ones too, like Cerebus. Although I think I've heard you talk about Cerebus.
Yeah, I have that crossover.
Okay, yeah.
And I have the first Cerebus omnibus.
Yeah, so I've heard you've talked to me about Cerebus before, but then I was just watching a documentary, which is currently on Paramount Plus. What was it called? Turtle Power.
I think
the
so.
official Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles origin story or something like that. And they talked about Cerebus as well as being one of the kind of the 80s black and white renaissance. Although I think it predated Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I think they were saying, like Kevin and Peter were saying that they drew some inspiration from it. I think. But anyway, so yeah, but Usagi Jimbo, and obviously I've heard of Spawn.
Right.
Not heard of Savage Dragon or Flaming Carrot.
Oh, well, we don't have time to get into Flaming Carrot right now. But you've probably seen a Flaming Carrot. There was a Flaming Carrot live-action film that did not actually contain the Flaming Carrot character.
Really?
Did you see the Mystery Men movie?
I did not.
Okay.
I know of it. I remember seeing it advertised, but I never have seen it.
Okay. Well, anyway, Flaming Carrot is a comedy superhero series. I don't know a lot about it, but I do have the 2 issues with the Turtles in them. Anyway, Savage Dragon,
yeah,
I don't...
What's up, Doc? No.
It's basically a green man with a fin on his head.
Okay.
We could... maybe we can do a podcast on them in the future. I think we talked about that earlier today.
Maybe so.
Yeah. But to continue the wiki, in October 2009, Peter Laird sold the rights to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles franchise to Viacom, the parent company of Nickelodeon. Mirage Studios was shut down on September 19th, 2021. I did not know this until right now.
Oh, wow. So pretty recent.
Yeah.
I guess during the pandemic.
I guess so. In 2011, IDW Publishing secured the rights to publish a new series and reprint the older comics. And as far as I know, the new series is continuing today. So, that's it for the first section of the wiki.
Yeah, so that's the intro. So speaking of intros, Will, what was your intro to this comic? Like, how did you first come across it?
Well, I mean, obviously, I think both of us were first introduced to the Turtles in general by the cartoon series of the 80s.
Yes.
I did have a T-shirt I got from Carolina Beach with the Turtles from the comics on it, all wearing red bandanas. I always wondered why my shirt had the Turtles all wearing red, but...
It's like, is this a misprint?
Yeah.
This is a cheap misprint?
When did I... You know, I don't know when I figured out there was this more mature comic book series behind the cartoon. I don't remember when that happened. It was probably in the 90s sometime. I remember that once I found out, I started collecting every issue I could get, though.
Nice.
I've got, in an earlier podcast, I said I had as early as issue 5. That's not true. As I dug through my long box, I found out I have issue number 2.
Nice.
which, by the way, April O'Neil appears on the front cover of issue number 2, and she looks more like her 80s cartoon self. Later depictions of the character, she would look more ethnic, though. So I can see why they might have been confused. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, and apparently she was based on, I believe, is Eastman the guy that wears glasses, or is it Peter?
That's Peter.
Peter wears glasses. Okay, so Kevin Eastman, April O'Neil was based on his girlfriend and future and eventual wife. I don't know if they're still married, but they did get married back in the day. So
I think they got a divorce.
Okay,
I think.
But they didn't talk about that in the documentary, but he did mention that she was inspired by, and like each of the turtles, at least their personalities and such, were inspired loosely by one of the first 4 people to be involved creating the comic, which I thought was cool.
Cool. I mean, forgive me, by the way, Mr. Eastman, if I'm incorrect. I just pretty sure I heard that was a X. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know which came first though. Like, I think he said she looked. So she must have been. I don't know if ethnic's even the right word, but must have been a person of color.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe they made it closer to her. I think he said it took on. It was closer to her appearance, like the further the comic went on, I think.
Oh,
or at least
okay.
later editions looked more like her.
Well, that makes sense from what I've noticed then, since the original appearance of April didn't look like what she would eventually look like in the later issues.
Yeah, that must be the case then. He just, I guess, I don't know if they were dating at the time. Maybe as things got more serious, he's like, we need to put her real image in the comics. I don't know.
Cool.
But anyway, that was a cool little trivia tidbit's the right word, but you can find that in the documentary as well. There was a lot of footage, like, because the guys back then, I mean, you saw it as well, like, so they were recording a lot of things as they were starting, and so they have a decent amount of video footage from back in the 80s. So it was just like 2 guys working out of their living room, and then they brought 2 more guys in, and it kind of gradually grew as the comic took off, and then obviously when it became a cartoon and a toy is when it blew up. But we're not here necessarily to talk about the toys as much as we are to talk about the comics.
Yeah, right. Although that'd be interesting too. But so the original comic book, we both read it at some point or another. I didn't get the chance to reread it all the way through. I read about half of it, and I think you did too. Mm-hmm. But what did you think from memory and what you read?
I liked it. I liked it. And yeah, it's been a long time, I think, since I read the first issue, so rereading was enjoyable, especially after watching the 1990 film recently and then seeing Mutant Mayhem. Like, you're definitely right, the 90 film follows it more closely.
Yeah.
With one noticeable difference, they kind of combine the 2 Orokus, because you had Oroku Nagi, who actually gets killed by Hamato Yoshi, rather than Oroku, as in the live action, like he kills both the wife and Hamato.
Right.
But in the original comics, like, Hamato kills him, like and then runs off to New York to hide, and then eventually his brother, Saki, Oroku Saki, comes to New York and becomes the Shredder, and then takes revenge, and then he kills. But I guess it made sense dramatically, maybe, to combine the 2 and simplify it, so that to make the story more efficient, I guess. And it didn't really ruin anything, not too much, because like the brother dies right at the beginning of the story, so it's not like he was a big, unless they reference him in later comics. I don't know. Like,
no, I'm pretty sure Nagi has been dropped completely from all origins of the Turtles moving forward after this. I don't think he's ever mentioned again past issue number 1. And as you said, it was just more efficient to remove him from the story.
Yeah, and then just have it, instead of having that additional layer, you just have a direct rivalry between Hamato and Saki.
Right.
And Hamato Yoshi and Urako Saki. And then, well, Hamato is the one who dies a little more quickly, I guess, in the story. Because he comes and actually starts a dojo, I noticed, in New York, which I thought was like, oh, that's cool. But
yeah,
one thing I didn't necessarily catch from the live-action film, which I don't know if they reference this or not, is that they were both members of the Foot Clan in Japan, that both Hamato and Nagi, and I guess eventually his brother, as a form of revenge, also joins and gets trained in the ways of the Foot Clan. So the Foot Clan predates Shredder in the comics, at least, or at least the original iteration.
Absolutely. And that's a good thing to point out, because technically the Ninja Turtles are practicing Foot Clan ninjutsu in the comics and some of the other iterations.
So does when they first fight the Foot Clan in New York, is the Foot Clan... I think, well, even the live-action movie, I think they reference, Shredder, does he recognize their fighting style?
He does.
There's something familiar about your fighting style.
Yeah, he does. I think you're right. I don't think the movie made it clear that Hamato Yoshi was a member of the Foot. But I could be wrong.
Yeah, I might have missed it, but I couldn't recall a direct, or at least a very clear reference to him being a member of the Foot. Or the two of them even being a member of the Foot. I was trying to remember if it was more implied that Shredder started the Foot. Maybe they don't even address that directly. Not sure.
Well, I think in the first movie, they do say that it was something that happened a long time ago in Japan. So the Foot was definitely around, predated Shredder. But no, we're not really given a clear history lesson, I don't think. So another thing that I thought was interesting in the first issue is that, I'm trying to think. I mean, there were several things. Sorry, I'm having a brain fart. I'm supposed to be the main host tonight, and I'm not doing a very good job. I'm just tired from work. So I really should have tried harder to reread issue number 1. But honestly, I was really excited to talk about the River series, which we will get to. But obviously, issue 1 was more important, so I really dropped the ball here. One really interesting thing about issue number 1 is they just straight up kill the Shredder. That's what Splinter is teaching them to do. That's why he taught them ninjutsu in issue number 1. It was only specifically to get revenge on the Shredder for killing Hamato Yoshi and Shin, his wife. So that's dark.
Yeah. Which, I guess in the 90 film, he also does at the end, although he's...
Oh, yeah.
Well, at least they imply it. I mean, he gets crushed by a garbage compactor, so... He pretty much did.
Yeah. he somehow miraculously comes back in the second movie.
Yeah, they only show his helmet getting crushed, so it's you don't necessarily see the body, and there's not blood everywhere. It's implied that he's killed. He
winds up at the garbage dump and just gets up out of a pile of trash.
I am reborn, Dirty Shredder.
Dirty Shredder. Oh my! They could have went an entirely different route. They could have brought in Karai in the second movie.
Oh yeah, his daughter.
Yeah, his daughter, which is the leader of the Japan branch of the Foot in most iterations.
Okay. Yeah, which she makes an appearance in the 2007 CGI film.
But speaking of which, do you think the 2007 CGI film follows in the same continuity as live-action films, or because that was a little confusing? Because Shredder was supposedly dead in that CGI film.
I'm not sure. I haven't seen it since maybe around the time it first came out, like, or not too long after. So I haven't seen it in a long time, and and it's been probably even longer since I've seen the third live-action film. So I'm not sure. I'd have to rewatch just to catch which. Right now there's like so much Turtles content to catch up with.
Oh, I know.
You have to choose wisely, I suppose.
Yeah, I almost started watching Rise of the TMNT today during a slow period at work, but chose to focus, of course, on tonight's podcast instead. But yeah, we're gonna review that film in the future, and I kind of want to know the series that leads up to the film, but there's just so much content.
Oh, I know.
So in the 2007 CG movie, the Time Scepter from the third Turtles movie is actually seen in one shot.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if that's a cameo or if it's a continuity reference, though, because it also shows Mousers, and the Mousers did not exist in that continuity. So who knows?
Yeah, I don't know.
But any other thoughts that you have of the first issue?
Let me see. Well, I guess just a little bit about the backstory. Like, I really enjoyed. I haven't finished the documentary yet, but what I watched today was really cool just to see. There's just these two guys who, were trying to do something they loved and hoping to eventually make enough money doing it, but.
Do I just talk into the microphone here? Okay, here goes. Nerds, I am here to tell you, if I never see another Leech again, it'll be too soon. Damn, I hate leeches. Anyway, I wanted to take a minute to inform you. Oh, by the way, this is Raph. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, Raphael, that's me. Anyway, I wanted to take a minute to inform you that the irreverent nerds want to hear from you. There are a multitude of ways you can contact them. Number 1, follow them on Instagram at irreverent_nerds. Number 2, like their fan page on Facebook, The Irreverent Nerds. Number 3, reply to episode questions and polls when you listen on Spotify. Number 4, leave them a voice message at theirreverentnerds.com. Number 5, follow them individually on Instagram at ourbest_WS and at cartoonistwill. And you get the picture, right? Reach out, connect, let them know what you think, even if you think they stink. They want to hear from you. Alright, can I go now? I have some pizza to eat and some heads to smash. Alright, later.
They just threw kind of their passion for comics into this issue, not knowing if it would succeed or not, and yeah, it took off enough. Like they made a profit for the first time, off of the early issues, and then were able to make another issue, and then they were able to start a studio, But yeah, it's just there's something about like the 70s and 80s, man, about people starting businesses, or you got like the Bill Gates and Steve Jobs stories, like I think Bill Gates started his out of his garage or something somewhat similar with Steve Jobs and Wozniacki. I'm probably saying his name wrong, but the two guys who started Apple, and yeah, and then you have your like underground comics taking off, and then one in particular obviously like blowing up, and yeah, it's just cool to be like, hey, and you look at their art style, you look at the talent, it's like, I see a lot of that like with you and with the other comic book artists that like Dan Johnson, a lot of his connections. I was like these guys are just as good as it's just you got to get the right thing that just catches people's either catches the right people's attention or just catches on for whatever reason. It just hits.
Yeah.
And it's like, but I think maybe something to learn too is like they weren't necessarily trying to make a hit. They were just making something they really enjoyed.
Yeah.
And then that passion kind of came out into it, you know.
Absolutely.
People resonated with it, I guess.
And that's the key, you know, when Stan Lee was working for I don't think it was called Marvel Comics yet, but I think it was back when it was called Timely Comics. But he was writing a bunch of romance comics and things, and he just didn't like what he was doing. So he convinced the higher ups. He said, just let me write the comic that I want to write, just something that I would actually enjoy reading myself. So he wrote Fantastic Four, and, you know, the rest is history. If you create something that you really enjoy, then I think that, like you said, the readers will catch on to that and they'll enjoy it too.
Hopefully, I mean, unless you're just so weird that like no one ever resonates with it. But
we're right, that's true too.
But it's like a combination of like it catches on, but then it's got to find its audience too. It's like, you know, if you can get it out there and if it finds its audience, you know, it can really take off. Like, but yeah, there's so many things too, though, you know, that also are just as brilliant, but then for whatever reason they just don't catch their audience, whether it's a marketing issue or it just doesn't get to the right people, or the creators stop before they find the audience, you know, whatever the case might be. Like, so but just to see that the potential's there, like that's pretty cool. That it's exciting to see that, and yeah, that was enjoyable. It's like just a group of nerds, not that much different than you and me, like making comics in their living room.
Oh yeah,
that's how it all started.
And isn't that how all indie comics start?
It wouldn't surprise me, yeah. Like if it's, and I guess maybe comics in general were. I don't know how big they were in the 80s, like, because I'm sure there were some factors then that were kind of contributed to the rise of indie comics at that time. It's like something in the cultural milieu. It's like,
yeah,
the industry has become so commercialized now. It's like, could that happen today?
I really don't know, because I have thoughts and opinions about that, and we should totally do a podcast just about this topic in the future.
We should bring some other creators on.
Yeah,
have like a round table or a Zoom table.
Absolutely. Well, one of my opinions is that is happening today. There are when I say that, I mean there are indie comics today. There are tons of indie creators. I think that the market is oversaturated with indie creators because back in the day, in the 80s, when Kevin and Peter did their comic, I can't imagine there was a big selection of indie comics at your local shops.
Yeah, and you didn't have web comics.
Yeah, exactly.
You couldn't just self-publish online, you know.
Yeah.
It's like it had to be through a local comic book store. And that seems like that's kind of how it started with them, is like they started selling it in a specific local store, and then at that store, it started out selling the Marvel comics at that store, and that's how it started gaining traction. It's like, and then they started getting like high demand. I guess this was a popular store back in the day, but I think it was their local store or somewhere nearby.
Yeah.
And yeah, and like it took off like locally, and then I think the right person ran into it. I guess maybe at some kind of convention or something. I'm trying to remember the details, but like I guess really when they got in touch with the guy that helped them to license it to Playmates, and then to I forget who did the TV series, but as far as
the Wolf something or another.
Yeah, like that was the producer, I think. I don't know if it was like, was it Deke? Did Deke get involved?
No,
not Deke.
No, not Deke.
Yeah, I couldn't remember.
I don't think so. Anyway.
They always show it at the end of the credits, but I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, Deke is Sonic the Hedgehog and some other stuff.
Inspector Gadget.
Yeah,
I think
probably. I don't know.
Garfield, maybe? Did they get involved with Garfield?
I don't remember. But can you imagine what would have happened to the Turtles if the creators didn't license them out to be a toy line in a cartoon series. They could have just died.
As possible, yeah. Like it might have had its run kind of in that region, and then maybe never taken off on the national level. You know, maybe it would have been a successful regional comic. You know, but yeah, it took this, which I guess they had caught the attention of quite a few agents because they'd already, when the guy they finally started working with convinced them that he was the man to do it. Well, I guess because he was able to get the interest of Playmates, the toy maker, which you were right about that the other day. I was thinking it was Hasbro, and it was definitely Playmates.
That's okay. You were right about the year the 2007 film came out.
Yeah. But yeah, and I should have remembered that too because I definitely had a number of the toys back in the day. Playmates. But I guess this was the first. That was a cool thing, and this is not. I know this is not about the comics, but it was just cool to see that for Playmates, like they were making toys for other companies like Mattel and probably Hasbro too, but they didn't have their own line. So this launched their own line. This is the first time they made their own. They wanted to do it with something unique, so it was the first time they launched their own toys, so to speak. They weren't making for another company. So the Turtles was their. I don't know how much they do now. I don't know if they still do the Turtles toys.
Oh, they do. They do.
They still do?
Yeah.
Okay.
They have, as far as I know, they have done the Turtle toys for every iteration of the Turtles.
Nice. So that relationship's continued then. So
yeah.
That's cool.
And Usagi Toys. Well, they're not the only company that's done Usagi Yojimbo toys, but whenever Usagi Yojimbo appears in a Ninja Turtle cartoon, Playmates gets to make the toy.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, cool. Well, let's get back to the comics. So let's start talking about the River Run. So let's see. So I guess this would be a part of Volume 1.
Yeah.
Which lasted 9 years. So this kind of right in the middle of the run. I saw it was 1989 when it came out. So.
Yeah, it was written and illustrated by Rick Veitch. And this is issues 24 through 26. It's a 3-parter. The Turtles are at Northampton in Massachusetts. I don't know if this takes place during their time away from New York before they come back to face the Shredder again. Yes, the Shredder. We said he died earlier, but the Shredder comes back in the comics. Okay, but that's a completely different story. He's Worm Shredder. It's filled with worms. I don't get it. But anyway, I just really love the River series. The first chapter is called Down to the River. The second chapter is called River Hymn. And the third chapter is Old Man River. And they could have made a movie, in my opinion, out of this. Maybe it's not the most epic movie, but I thought it would have been really well. Or if not a movie, they could have done an episode adaptation in one of the animated series, either the 2003 series or even the 2012 series. But they didn't.
So they haven't. Have you seen those all the way through? And
yeah, well, I've seen almost every episode of the 2003 run, but so maybe it's in there and I don't know about it.
Or they might have done like an adaptation where it had a different name, maybe, but like a similar story.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible I've missed it because there's a little bit of the 2003 run I haven't seen yet. But I've seen all the 2012 run. The Nickelodeon TMNT. Anyway, so you read a little bit about this. I don't think you got very far, did you?
Not too far, yeah. We ran out of time, but I was able to read the first few pages, and I liked how it began with Shredder and his turtle Shredder. I did that last time too. My brain substitutes. They both S words. Anyway, Splinter and Turtles. He's doing a what do you call it? I guess a meditation practice of a sort.
Yeah.
Ninjutsu meditation, basically. The way it was written, it almost made it sound like he could read the Turtles' thoughts somehow, or read their, I don't know, their chi or their aura or something.
Well, Splinter definitely has mystic powers or psychic powers of some sort in this 3-part series. It looks like Splinter was trying to show them, like Splinter was somehow in his meditation able to look down the river. I don't know if that, like you said, if that's chi or if it's something else, but I'm not sure how he's able to do that, but he's trying to show the turtles what he's seeing, and they can't see it for some reason.
Yeah, I like both the like how they structured how they ordered the panels in that, and then the writing is good as well.
Yeah,
in the opening there, I enjoyed that. Like it kind of drew me in, and honestly, it kind of made me want to learn more about Japanese culture, that kind of thing. Like it kind of gave me that feel of like, oh, this is something out of time, that's been brought into the present, which at the time was 1989, but yeah, it was interesting to see Raph be a little goofy there. He runs off, so that was a little different. It was like he was almost acting a little bit more like Michelangelo.
Yeah, I caught that.
Normally acts like at the beginning, like, but it does make sense he'd be the one that was restless. Like, so it's like Splinter identifies a problem, and it's implied that Raph is causing a problem, but then Splinter allows it to play out, I guess, and then that's about as far as I got as far as when they encountered the turtle eggs.
Yeah,
in the river. That's about as far as I got. So,
well, we can start from there. So on one of the turtles, Raph finds a leech, and he's scared of it. He thinks it's disgusting. He pulls it off of the baby turtle. The other brothers decide to pull a prank on Raph because they're still mad at him for messing up the lesson for not bowing to Shredder. I did it. For not bowing to Splinter. Yeah. For not bowing to Splinter at the end of the meditation.
Yeah, that was kind of disrespectful. He just runs off, doesn't do the bow, or doesn't return the bow, I should say.
So they put the leech. They hold Raph and they put the leech on his foot. Then they toss him into the river. Then laugh and say, well, maybe he'll show respect to Splinter next time. Well, the leech is able to drink some of Raphael's mutagen saturated blood.
Ah.
And so the next time they see this leech, it's taking down a snapping turtle because it's grown much bigger.
Ah.
The turtles then try to hold up the leech in a little cavern with the hole just big enough for Raphael to shut it in with the back of his shell. He doesn't think the leech is powerful, strong enough to suck his blood through his shell. So the turtles go and get their weapons. When they come back, Raphael is unconscious because the leech, now much bigger, has been sucking away through his shell.
Ooh, fun.
After this, Raphael starts to de-evolve. By the time they figure out what the problem is, they stop just fooling themselves into thinking Raph is okay. It's too late. Raphael turns it back into a normal turtle. He starts mewing like a kitten for some reason. I don't know why, but
it's a little weird. I don't think turtles even make sounds, do they? I'm trying to think.
Maybe
I've
a
never
hissing
heard of
sound, maybe?
Maybe. Oh, yeah. Snapping turtle is definitely like...
Yeah.
I ran into one. Actually, this was... I think I might have been on my way to your house because it was off of Clemensville Road, in kind of that area.
Cool.
I remember, like, I was looking ahead. I saw somebody run over a snapping turtle. Like, thing got run over, like, I think twice by, like, two cars. And then kind of spurted to the side of the road. And so me and I think one of the cars stopped to check on it and see if it was okay. And the thing got up and was still able to walk. Like, that's how tough its shell was. It got run over twice.
Wow.
But yeah, like, I don't know if I think it might have gotten turned over or something. Like, But yeah, we went to try and help it, and it definitely like hissed and tried to snap at us, like or at me. But yeah, that's my only run-in with a snapping turtle in the wild. But yeah, I do think it hissed. If memory serves me. Yeah, those things are ugly too. That pointy little nose, you know.
Yeah, don't let them get a hold of your fingers.
Oh no, you won't have any more fingers.
So, what I find really cool about the mutated Leech is that after he sucks a Game Warden dry, he puts on the Game Warden's clothes, so he's this Game Warden Leech. He could have fit right in with the Ninja Turtles Playmates toy line, to be honest. The official character's name is Bloodsucker, by the way.
Creative.
And that's the end of the first issue, Down to the River.
They went down to the river to play.
Yeah, pretty much.
Instead of bowing to Splinter that day.
So in River Hymn, the turtles get sidetracked for a little bit. They're trying to find the Leech in order to find a way to reverse Raphael's de-evolution. But instead they come to a small town where they run into Abenak, a Native American man who's living in the caves. He's the last of his tribe. The Booter, the mayor, Booter, he is the descendant of Colonel Booter from the Civil War, something like that, who took the land the town is built on from the Native Americans from his tribe. He's the last one, and he lives in the caverns below the town, and the townsfolk call him the Ghost. This issue has an environmental message to it about protecting the nature, the rivers. You know, It's got your stereotypical Native American pollution makes me cry kind of thing going
it's
on.
Like who can own land? You know,
Yeah, that too. But Abenak comes off as a very likable character. He helps the turtles help him with his mission of stopping Mayor Booter from polluting the lake. He's secretly been dumping toxic chemicals from one of his plants into the caverns below the city. So the turtles blow up the plant, but
They make sure the people are out first, right?
well,
Or do they?
well, I think that Booter dies.
Oh,
I can't remember.
at least
No,
it's
that's right. The leech eats Booter.
okay. I was gonna say.
Booter escapes the factory, and jumps in his car, but the Leech is waiting in the back seat. Just I don't know why, but he just is.
I want evil blood.
But so Abenak, the Native American, decides to help the turtles find a way to help Raphael. So he tells them about the Old Man of the River. This is issue 3 now. So they get into a canoe, which was left there. The Old Man of the River's been telling Abenak what to do in dreams. So he told him about this canoe, which is right where their car breaks down, which is very convenient. And they paddle to the source of the river, where the old man is waiting. The old man tells them that he is worshipped, or was worshipped as a god by the Druids. Were there Druids in North America, by the way?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Because in this story, there were Druids in North America that...
Yeah, unless they were immigrants from Scotland.
Okay.
Well, no, excuse me, Ireland. They would have been Celtic. But yeah. Nerds, we would love to find out who is on the other side of the microphone. There are multiple options by which you can connect with us. Our Instagram handle is @irreverent_nerds. We are on Facebook and YouTube as simply The Irreverent Nerds. Makes sense, right? And of course, we are on your podcast app. If you listen on Spotify, scroll down through the episode description and you will see a question. What did you think of this episode? We welcome your feedback, including your constructive criticism. We also post episode-specific polls and questions from time to time on Spotify, so please feel free to jump in and give us your 2 cents. All right, nerds, I've talked enough. Let's get back to this week's episode. Yeah, I'm not sure, actually. I'm not sure. I doubt it.
Yeah, I kind of doubt it, too.
Not like Celtic druids, because they kind of phased out over the centuries due to the spread of Christianity.
Right.
And they kind of stomped out competition, so to speak, which they definitely would have been competition with, like, the Catholic priests, like, once Roman Catholicism took hold in Ireland. So I think the druids probably would have slowly died out. I don't know if there's still any druids today. If that, to my understanding, they only passed on their tradition through oral. Like, there was nothing much that was ever written down. It was just oral tradition.
I didn't know that.
But yeah, I don't know if there were ever any in the U.S. I guess Massachusetts might make sense, like as a place where they might have immigrated to, but yeah, I'm not sure.
And Christianity is mentioned in this issue of Ninja Turtles only in that it said that the Druid religion is older. But the Old Man of the River explains that he's about 1 million years old, that he came from a advanced civilization on Earth that destroyed themselves with their own technology, and then they turned to nature, where he basically became a sorcerer and learned how to control atoms and molecules and whatnot. So
that's a cool origin story. I like that. For the character.
Cool.
Like that's pretty cool. Like, I love the idea of, like, there being an advanced civilization that died out long before, like, our modern civilizations. Like, that's a cool concept. Like, even if it never happened, like, just thinking about it is fascinating.
Yeah, I've been fascinated by similar stories. Like in the video game Chrono Trigger, there's a civilization that uses magic, and during the Ice Age, they actually live on these sky islands in the sky. It's like this lost civilization. So, you know, that idea of lost civilizations is really cool.
Yeah, like one of the Disney movies I enjoy is Atlantis. Like, that's a cool Disney movie. They need to do a sequel at some point to that, like, or even actually I would not mind seeing a live action version of that. Like, so many of the live action Disney versions, I'm like, why? Other than just making money, which I know you're all about, Disney. But, like, aside from that, like, what's the why remake this? Like, yeah, I guess it's just a money thing. You know, but that is one that I think would translate well to live action. I mean, because it has people in it. You know, obviously it's not that, like, those two they were made, I think, was kind of during that brief period where there was, like, I don't even know what you call it, but, like, Disney started making PG films. You know, they started getting a little more serious, at least for a brief period there. And you know, they also made Treasure Planet, which I thoroughly enjoy, and I would not mind seeing that live action, actually. That would be cool.
Oh, that would be a cool sci-fi film.
It would. Yeah. I love the animated film, and the music is gorgeous. James Newton Howard is the man. I don't know if he did the one for Atlantis, but he definitely did the music for Treasure Planet. Anyway, side note.
So, let's see. Going back to my notes here, just wanted to check. Yep, I'm still on track. Okay, so spoiler alert. They go to the Old Man of the River to get help for Raphael, and the Native American Abenaki sees the Old Man of the River as his master because he's been giving him dreams all these years about what to do, and about how his destiny ends at the source of the river where the sorcerer Old Man River is. Well, twist, the sorcerer Old Man River sent the Leech to drain Raphael because he doesn't like mutants in his river. He's the villain. He orchestrated the whole thing.
Psych!
So now the Turtles are fighting a sorcerer. The Leech has been hiding in wait and on his master's call, the mutant Leech. So now they're fighting the sorcerer, they're fighting the Leech. They're not quite winning. When it seems like all is lost, let me back up. Splinter is still searching the waterways. He's been keeping an eye on his sons, his pupils, through this 3-issue story arc. I don't know if it's, like we discussed earlier, I don't know if it's chi or if it's mystic, if it's psychic. I'm not sure, but he's
like tracking their spirits or something, whatever you want to call it.
Exactly. He's able to.
He has the sight.
So he finds Old Man River, and Old Man River pushes back and actually mentally paralyzes Splinter for a brief moment. Once Splinter revives himself while Old Man River, the sorcerer, is busy fighting the Turtles, Splinter sends out this mystical chi shockwave in the form of a giant hand and arm down the entire course of the river, and then smacks Old Man River, the sorcerer, with this giant hand.
Nice. That's cool.
It took all of what Splinter had to do it, but it was enough to cause the Old Man River, the sorcerer, to temporarily lose the ability to form his human body. So I wanted you to read it because I wanted to see your reaction, but
yeah, we should have planned that a little better, but yeah, I definitely want to read it. Like, it sounds really cool. Like, I like that story.
Yeah, I really love it. This is my favorite series of the original Turtles run. I haven't read every issue though, but I'm sure that City at War is probably really good. But I've only got like 2 or 3 issues of it, so I haven't read it. But this is definitely one of my favorite. Weird thing though is that the sorcerer, since he can't hold his body together anymore because he's lost his concentration, he tries to de-age himself before his body dies. But he just keeps de-aging, and he calls out to the Native American Abenaki to help him, and Abenak's like, I can't, even if I want to. I'm not a sorcerer like you are. And the sorcerer, the old Man River, tells him, you have the ability too. I sense it in you. And then he turns into a baby and then a fetus and boom, disappears. So that was a little weird, but
interesting.
Meanwhile, the Turtles are losing their fight against the mutant Leech when suddenly little baby turtle Raphael starts biting Leech Man on the foot and starts drinking his blood. They fight, and when they come up out of the waters behind a waterfall, Raphael is back in his full adult size as a mutant turtle, and he's holding the little Leech now between his fingers. And then they look up to see that the Native American Abenaki has taken his place as the new sorcerer of the river.
Oh, okay.
And they're nervous about that at first, but find out that the Native American is on their side.
Like, I like you guys. I like turtles. Yeah, and rats, giant rats. I love them.
And sends them back to Splinter. Exactly how he's able to become a sorcerer suddenly, I have no idea. But meanwhile,
he had the gift. He had it inside him.
I guess he did.
Maybe it's like a latent gene from like the ancient civilization or something got turned on. I doubt they would have approached it that way, but it's like that makes me think of X-Files actually, because X-Files actually does deal with there's quite a few episodes that have Native Americans play a prominent part in like some of their connections with aliens and things like that, and but there is also a particular character in the X-Files series who has a I don't know if it was an ancient gene or no, it's an alien gene that somehow got into the human gene pool, and it is they find out eventually, spoiler alert by the way for X-Files, that all humans have some form of it, but this particular person, like his has been activated such that he can like sense people's thoughts, so he can hear people's thoughts, so telepathy basically, or not telepathy.
No, I think it's telepathy.
Telepathy. But yeah, like in the excuse me. Anyway, reminded me of that a bit, and obviously X-Files delves into like ancient civilizations and stuff too, and different features of that. But yeah, there's something about the distant past, like it just feels inaccessible and mysterious. It's like, and and then obviously we only have written records, as humans, at least up to this point, in terms of like societies that have actual alphabet, like developed alphabets, or even something as simple as like cuneiform or hieroglyphs. We're only talking like what, 5,000-6,000 years ago, in terms of. Now they've found cave drawings that they date to 40,000 years ago, and that's about as far back as you can get with any kind of like art or writing or artwork or but yeah, like you think of like going back a million years, or like it's so far back that it's like kind of mind-boggling to think like how far back that is, like, or how many, like, say hypothetical, like if humans had been around that long, like how many generations that is, like going back, you're like grandfather, grandfather's grandfather, grandfather, it's like keep on going. It's crazy. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I like that kind of stuff though. Just as like an exploration of the possible or the fictional. It's fun to think about the distant past. Yeah. Anyway.
So I would have loved if the river had been adapted, like I said earlier, but I'm not sure why it hasn't been adapted. Unless it was.
Yeah, that would have made a really good episode. Yeah.
The only thing I can think of is that since it was written and illustrated by Rick Veitch, that maybe they would have needed to have paid him royalties.
Could be. Yeah. I would think. I mean, you should. Like,
yeah.
If they were to base a TV episode off of his writing, he should get royalties. I mean, I know those always happen. And I don't know what kind of royalties are involved in like a hit cartoon show. But from what I've learned about, like through following like the WGA and the SAG-AFTRA strike a bit, like at least in the current climate with streaming, like writers are kind of getting the short end of the stick, because they're not getting paid as much, and they're not getting as many royalties off of the streaming writing, even though they're doing a similar, like the shows are similarly popular to like big network shows. They're not. They've shifted the pay structure so they don't have to pay them as much.
Right.
Which is kind of sad. Like,
that is sad.
It's one of the reasons they're striking.
Yeah. And Rick should absolutely be paid royalties if they were to adapt his story. I'm just commenting on how some companies, etc., are notorious about not wanting to pay royalties.
Yeah. I mean,
not that they can't afford it. They can afford it.
Yeah, like if you can afford it and you just don't want to, that's one thing. But if you're legitimately trying to save money and conserve costs and stuff, then might be cheaper to do an original story than it would be to adapt an older one and then have to pay double royalty. I don't know how that works in terms of contracts and whatnot, but if you had to pay like double royalties or something like to the original person and then also the new writer who adapts it,
Well, true.
I don't know how that works exactly, but economically, I could see where, if that were the case, I could see where economically it would make more sense just to have news stories like maybe inspired by old ones, but not enough to where the old writer would have a case to be like, hey, you just plagiarized my story.
Yeah.
Or, you borrowed enough that you need to pay me. Anyway, well, we're getting close up on an hour here. Did you have any final thoughts on the River Run or even just the Volume 1 of the comics?
Well, I don't have all issues of Volume 1. I think that most of my issues come from Volume 1, but I've certainly not read all of the original comics, Ninja Turtle comics. Can you buy Volume 1 just as a single? I would imagine it would be massive. Yeah, I think that the easiest way to get them these days is probably from IDW, because IDW's been doing reprints.
Yeah.
I've just been focusing on buying the older prints.
Oh, yeah, if you can get them,
yeah.
Like the Mirage prints.
Yeah, so I have had my eye on the IDW reprints, but like one hardcover that collects a volume is like $50 or something.
Yeah.
And I just
don't have
the
like,
money.
Like Volume 1 I saw covered 9 years of the comics. So
yeah.
That's a lot. So that makes sense that it would be $50. Like, that makes sense. Like, seems fairly reasonable actually for 9 years worth of comics, I guess.
And it is.
Like even back in the 80s, you're paying, I saw on the front, like well, I guess that's the reprint. Was the reprint that you had of the River, or is that the original?
No, those are the originals.
Okay, so it was $250 even back then. Like,
yeah,
I know it's probably like $6 now for like a single issue.
Probably.
Like when I bought some recently, it's like $5-6 for a single issue, and you get like 20 pages. So it's like not a lot of content for $6 necessarily.
I've got 3 different versions of issue number 1. I have a black and white, which came out in 2007, that reprint. I've got a sepia, which might actually be from the 90s. It's a limited edition one. It's not in great condition. Then I've got a full color version from 2009. And the 2009 one, I bought cover price $3 and some change.
Oh, so it didn't go up much.
Yeah.
Intervening years. That would have been 20 years later, actually. So only went up 75 cents. That's not bad. As inflation goes, you know what I mean?
That's not bad.
Not bad at all.
But, yeah, most comics are about $5 these days, though.
Yeah, $5-6 per issue. Yeah, at least what I've seen, especially the more mainstream ones, like, which I know some of that may be supply and demand, in the terms of like if they're selling less, they have to charge a little bit more in order to be able to pay people.
Yeah.
So that's kind of law of supply and demand, and now that you have more and more available digitally or through subscriptions, it's like it's probably fewer people buying the physical issues. Like I myself, like I've bought a few physical issues off and on over the last couple of years, and I usually go to Sailfish when I do that. But like, I got my start like with Batman stuff was more like buying the collections, like a full arc, like the Long Halloween, that kind of thing. Like, and I haven't gotten a copy of that one yet. That is definitely on my list. I wish I'd had the money. I saw it actually popped up twice. I wonder if it was the same one that someone sold back to McKay's, but popped up twice. It was like a limited edition black and white version of the Long Halloween. I was like, oh, that looks really cool, and it's like I wish I'd had the money to get it at the time, but yeah. I think it was like $22 or something like that. Which, not bad. Like, and it looked like it was in good condition. So
Cool. Color?
No, it was a limited edition black and white
Cool.
version.
You did say that.
Because it was originally in color, but they printed a special black and white version of it.
I've read the black and white version actually.
Have you had the Long Halloween?
It
Nice.
came in at work one day at my full-time job, and I read it.
Oh, dang. I wish I'd been able to go steal it off the shelf, because I bet it would have been cheaper at Goodwill.
Yeah, I don't know where it went. I don't know what store it sold at. I don't know what they sold it at.
Probably like $5 or something. Like,
yeah, how I wish I could buy books, but
no, that wouldn't be appropriate.
no, it wouldn't be.
Well, nerds, thanks for going down this journey with us for an hour. This is our first official episode talking about Turtles comics from the Mirage run, specifically Volume 1. Yeah, it's a cool conversation. I enjoyed the little bit of reading that I got to do prior to the episode. And yeah, like I think I've gotten, in part because of our podcast, I think I've gotten more and more into comics in the last year or so. Like, yeah, I think I'm starting to gravitate a little more in that direction and back towards reading more. You know, I still watch my fair share, and obviously we cover movies, TV shows for the podcast as well. But yeah, but it's probably better for my brain if I actually read more comics and read more books and watch less TV.
I certainly need to get back into reading books.
Yeah, reading a good one right now. It's actually a new or newer one by Christopher Paolini. I don't know if you ever read the Aragon series of novels.
I've heard of it.
If you've heard of it. Yeah, don't bother watching the movie adaptation. It was not good. It was not good. Yeah, I think they're eventually gonna reboot that, which they should. They're good. But he's dabbling in science fiction now, or actually dabbling. He's writing science fiction now, and I'm reading one of his called the fractal. Oh, I can't remember the title. The fractal verse. Anyway, it's really good. Like this crew discovers, and it's the first evidence of intelligent alien life. You know, this takes place in like 2234, and they discover this massive hole that's been carved out on a planet, and it's operating as a powerful speaker, like sending out a rhythmic transmission of some sort that's like incredibly loud, like 180 decibels. Anyway, yeah, that's pretty cool. So, but that's probably my cue for signing off. I think my daughter needs some help. So, nerds, until next time. We'll be covering the DOV anime next week.
Oh yeah, I look forward to that.
And then we'll finish out Turtles Month with Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the Netflix film. So, look forward to that too.
Sayonara.
Till next time, live long and prosper.
Bunga!
We didn't plan that. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of the Irreverent Nerds podcast. If you would, consider following us on Instagram. We are there at irreverent_nerds. You can also hit us up on Facebook. Just look us up there at The Irreverent Nerds. That's our fan page. We have a YouTube channel as well. Once again, The Irreverent Nerds. Nice and simple, right? And if you go to www.irreverentnerds.com, that will send you to our Podcasters for Spotify, formerly Anchor.fm profile, where you can send us a voice message if you want to, support us financially, or listen to the podcast. It will also direct you to other places you can listen, like Spotify, Apple, Google, Stitcher, you name it. So, like, comment, subscribe, follow, all those good things, wherever you find us, wherever you listen to us, we would greatly appreciate it. Until next time, nerds, live long and prosper. Avengers assemble! I'm Batman.